Welcome to the Geeta Chopra Show. This is your time to heal naturally. Embrace nature's healing energy. Get back in tune with your higher self through yoga, meditation, healing foods, living in balance, healthy relationships, and harnessing the true power of prayer. You are powerful. You are loved. And you can do it. I am Geeta Chopra, and let's heal together, naturally. Welcome to this week's episode of the Geeta Chopra Show. Today I have an expert guest on to talk about the power of deep breathing to heal every single disease out there. This may sound oversimplified, but I believe you will be blessed by watching this episode. If you have any type of imbalance in your body, this episode is for you. Even if you are healthy, you still want to learn how to breathe correctly to prevent any disease, live longer, and manage stress. Now, breathing is a free gift from God, and it is a natural immune booster. In Hindi, the word for this type of breathing is known as Pranayama. My guest, Vikas Chawla, has been teaching yoga and Pranayama along with meditation for the last 19 years. He has served on the National Board of Art of Living Foundation, which is an educational nonprofit foundation, currently one of the biggest nonprofits in the world. He has served as a national coordinator of the meditation program as well as the deep breathing program. He also teaches the Power of Silence retreats. So hopefully you will learn some powerful breathing techniques in this episode to change your entire life. Welcome back to the show, Vikas.
Thank you, Geeta.
That's so nice to have you back by popular demand.
Wow. I'm delighted and humbled.
Oh, that's so good. Last time we spoke about the power of silence.
Yes.
And now we're going to talk about the power of breathing.
Yes.
So you tell me, what's this big breathing phenomenon about? Why is it so powerful?
Well, the first thing is we all need to breathe, right? Where would we be without the breath, right? It's something I think we take for granted, but has enormous untapped potential, let me put it that way.
So what is the definition of breathing according to I guess, pranayama, to the definition of powerful breathing, as opposed to the world's definition of it?
So let's say if you take the world's definition of breathing, right? So it's basic respiration, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide, right? So if you look at the basic definition, that's what it is. But to pranayama, or in the field of yoga, it's used to harness prana, or the basic essential life force energy.
So prana is another word for ki in Chinese medicine?
She's similar.
Okay.
So if you were to think about it, let's say when you are taking a flight from here to, let's say, Europe, right? It's a long flight, 7-8 hours. When you are in the plane, you come out, you're breathing, but you come out depleted, isn't it? But let's say if you go to the seashore, you go to the mountain, you take a deep breath or you breathe in, you feel energized. And the difference there is the prana, right?
So is that why? Because we are breathing on the airplane. You're seeing the oxygen level.
The oxygen level is much lower, but by the seashore or in the mountain, there's a large, the oxygen level is much higher, and then you breathe in, you feel much more energized. We all know by our experience, right? And pranayama, the word pranayama means harnessing the breath. Prana is the subtle life force energy. Yama is controlling or harnessing. So pranayama is a way to harness the breath.
Okay, and just so the audience knows, pranayama is basically the deep breathing exercises that we're going to do during the show. So hang tight. We're going to do it towards the end, and that just basically teaches you how you should be inhaling and exhaling and why.
Why? Absolutely. And ability to, because we live in this ocean of energy, right? We are all breathing. If we are able to tap a little more energy out of the oxygen we breathe, it helps us, think about it, gives us the edge.
Okay.
So pranayama is about all giving us an edge.
So it basically comes in you and it energizes you more further.
Exactly.
But everyone's breathing. So here's a good question. Who's actually breathing correctly? Probably
babies.
Only babies. Oh, really?
Babies.
Okay, I thought the answer was no one. So how are babies breathing correctly?
So think about it, right? So when you see a baby breathe, right?
Yes.
What do you see? If you see the abdomen rises up and down like a balloon, right?
Yes.
there's a huge motion of the abdomen by inhalation and then exhalation. But when we navigate life, we have this unique phenomena called stress. Right?
Yes.
I'm sure you, I, and the viewers are very familiar with that term. Hits us. And when you are under stress, you will see everything in our nervous system contracts. Your jaws contract, the body contracts, the muscle contracts. And then over time, as we navigate life with our either bad sitting posture, because right from school, we are sitting for long periods of time. And then we graduate and we are sitting in front of our machines all day long.
Yes.
I don't think our systems are designed to just sit so long.
Okay.
So a combination of bad posture and just the fact that we are sitting, of course, lifestyle in general, and stress causes our lungs to contract over time, and then we breathe shallower and shallower. So an average person just takes only a fraction of the lung capacity, and thereby we are able to draw much less energy from this ocean of energy that we live in.
Okay, and this is even more applicable to people who live in big cities because they're really not getting the air that they need. So they should actually be doing pranayama, which is deep breathing exercises, every morning, either inside their house or somewhere in a park, more frequently. Or
more frequently.
I guess in a more dedicated manner.
That's right.
Than someone who does live in the countryside. So back to the babies, you're saying that when they inhale, their stomach expands, and when they exhale, it contracts.
Contracts.
Okay, and that's what you mean by breathing correctly?
That's right. So at least see, babies when they come, if you look at babies generally, if there's a healthy baby, they're in harmony, They are happy, smiling, joyful. They are in tune with nature.
Yes.
It's only when we start working in this stressful world, that's when the balance gets thrown off.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying stress affects our ability to absorb oxygen.
Absolutely.
Continuously on a second basis.
As one of the side effects. There are many,
okay.
but that's one of the side effects.
Okay, so I think fairly so, we can come up with many reasons why people are not getting their oxygen that they need.
That's right.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, wow. Yeah, that's definitely a tragic truth. So how can, and I know this is a bit obvious, but how can breathing help with health? So I know it goes in, it energizes, gets all, your red blood cells going, so it almost helps you to build iron, right? Because oxygen helps build iron.
Yeah.
But what else does it do? It's not just for asthma patients, for example. Maybe someone who has, they suffer from migraines, or they have GI issues, or they have an infection. How does deep breathing actually help them? And I'm going to let you answer that question, but before you do, I will say that deep breathing has changed my entire life.
Wow.
It has helped my health. Unrelated issues. I don't have asthma, but just other issues in other parts of my body. The breathing itself has literally expelled all the toxins out of my body, and I can't live without it. So I'll let you answer the question.
Okay. Thank you for that great testimonial and a segue, right? That's great. Nothing like a good testimonial, right?
Yes.
So firstly, we have to realize mind and body are connected, right? Anything that impacts the body impacts the mind, and vice versa. So if you look at our nervous system, right? So we have this thing called sympathetic nervous system as a part of the autonomic nervous system, which is basically, in simple terms, fight or flight. Okay, and then the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. So the fight and flight is, if you think about it, when we were a few thousand years back, when we had to deal with predators. Let's say you had a tiger or lion running after you, then you had to amass every bit of your ounce of energy and run away. So what that allows you to do is makes the breathing faster, the heart rate's faster, pumps adrenaline, pumps cortisol, so we can handle that stressful situation. But guess what? Now in the current time, we don't have to handle tigers and lions, right?
We have other stresses.
We have other stresses. So what happens is this fight or flight gets triggered on many different occasions. So let's take a normal work day. You get up in the morning, the NJ Transit gets delayed, right? Or your bus gets delayed. You have a presentation to make and you're not on time. It's stressful, right?
Yes.
And that same response kicks in.
Okay.
You have to give a presentation. You are nervous. That same response kicks in. You are dealing with deadlines and you have not been able to complete the work. That response kicks in. You are having a stressful environment at home, right? That kicks in. So if you look at our lifestyle now, it's very sympathetic nervous system heavy. That is basically fight or flight heavy,
Okay.
where a lot of cortisol is being pumped in, and adrenaline, the heartbeat goes up. And that is a cause of a lot of diseases like high blood pressure, hypertension,
Okay.
insomnia, so on and so forth, right? Now, what deep breathing allows you to do, it kicks in the parasympathetic nervous system. That is basically rest and digest. So it slows down the breathing, slows down the heart rate, allows the system to come back into harmony.
Okay, so it sounds like deep breathing is an antidote or an answer to several imbalances in the body.
That's correct.
And a lot of them could be stress-induced or even just different diseases.
Different diseases.
So
right.
it's kind of something you should do alongside your medication, especially if you're trying to bring your body back into natural alignment.
Absolutely.
With source power, with nature, with healing. Okay, I understand, yeah. So it's really an effect on the nervous system. So not just removing the toxins out of your body, like in my case when I was trying to detox my liver. So the breathing literally took or the exhaling
Absolutely.
took everything out. And then the inhaling of new air basically cleaned my white blood cells out.
Perfect.
So that's it. And then I like the angle that you brought it from as well. So you're saying babies do this correctly, but then when we grow up and we get involved, in the cortisol and the stress and other things happen in our environment, we forget how to breathe. And again, we're gonna show some good exercises
Yes.
today, because it's not what most people think it is.
That's right.
It's not the type of breathing that you are discussing is not. It's intentional breathing.
It's intentional.
Right. Okay.
It's
So
intentional.
it's almost like back to the power of silence. You kind of have to sit down in silence. It's like a form of yoga where you will sit with a straight back and do the exercises.
Yes, that helps, but just sometimes the awareness,
Okay.
right? That let's say you are in a stressful situation, your breath is going fast. So firstly, we have to realize and what most people don't intuitively realize is that our breathing and emotions are related.
Okay.
So if you go out and today is a great day, you take a deep breath in. What a great day, and if things are not going down, life sucks, right? The
Okay.
fact that, or let's say, have you noticed how your breathing changes when you are happy? It's very even and smooth when you're calm.
Or even if you're excited, it's more rapid.
It's more rapid. When you are fearful, it's very jagged.
Yeah.
You will see it'll never happen when you'll say, life sucks. You'll never take a deep breath in and say that you have a problem.
That's actually quite insightful, because
Right.
to be more aware if you're breathing, because I'm only aware of it when I do my pranayama in the morning.
Right.
But how about throughout the day? If I'm, something
Exactly.
good happens, something bad happens, or I'm in traffic, or it's good to monitor.
Exactly. So what's happening is that emotions are happening, they are impacting the breath, but yet we are not aware of that linkage between the emotions and the breath. But with some awareness and pranayama, even just deep breathing, let's say you're breathing shallow, you're experiencing fear or nervousness, you will take a few deep breaths. Here in the West, we say if somebody's angry, what do we say? Why don't you take a few deep breaths?
Right.
Intuitively, we know that
Okay.
taking a few deep breaths calms the mind.
So that's where that came from.
Exactly.
I see.
Because there's a linkage between the breath and the mind. So when we get upset, angry, nervous, fearful, whatever is out of that happy, calm state that a baby is in,
Yes.
we can use the breath with some awareness. And if we take a few deep breaths, just we calm and think about like a reset button. Taking a few deep breaths is like hitting that reset button on the phone, clears out the garbage if something is not working, and you'll see a few movements helps us get back to
And then you get back. So kind of just it helps the nervous system reboot or recharge itself. Wow.
reboot.
So the intuition of people knowing that is there's a pretty big gap between that and the consciousness of what they're actually,
Exactly.
what they know, because they don't
Exactly.
really know why they know that.
That's right.
So there's a deeper meaning, and we're going to get to
Yes.
that. That's great. Okay. So is this the link between yoga and breathing? Do you think this is why yoga studios encourage you to breathe every time you hold a new
Exactly.
position?
Exactly. So if you go back, sometimes just knowing a little theory is important, because if you look at the father of yoga, he was a gentleman called Rishi Patanjali. He put a 8-fold path for yoga. Okay, because in the West, when we think of yoga, we just sort of correlate it with physical postures, right? So when an average person thinks of yoga, you have the person bent in like a pretzel or some yoga posture, but that's just one aspect of yoga.
Right.
Right? So there's an eightfold path of yoga. It starts with yama, niyama. So there are some principles of living properly in a society so that we don't hurt each other, we don't steal from each other. So there are those. Some for personal benefit, hey, lead with discipline, lead an austere life, things like that. And then it goes to asanas, which is the physical posture. And then it graduates to pranayama and breathing. Because if you look at it, yoga is all about bringing the mind to the present moment.
Okay.
So if you look at our mind, the mind is vacillating between the past, you regret the past, and we are anxious about the future. Hey, the stock market went down 400 points. What if my 401k becomes 101k? Right?
Yeah.
So we have all this anxiety in the future. The mind projects, what if this happens? What if I have disease? What if it happens to my children? So all these scenarios that go in our mind, the mind vacillating between the past and the future causes a lot of stress.
Uh-huh.
So the guiding principle of yoga is how to bring the mind to the present moment, right? And yoga says we have two great things that we possess with us which help us. Body, guess what? Our body is always in the present.
Okay.
Your body cannot be in the past or in the future.
That's
right?
true.
So if we are doing the postures and we have awareness, then the mind comes to the present moment.
I see.
And the breath. Guess what? You can't breathe in the past, you can't breathe in the future. Now let's say if I say, Geeta, become aware of your breath. Or the audience, where will your mind go? In the present moment.
Yes.
So using these two effective tools of the physical postures, that's asana, and the breathing, which is pranayama, yoga tells, or the yogic process tells us that you can bring the mind to the present moment and prepare it for meditation, which are the 3 future stages of yoga. So those are the 8.
So a lot of people would say, well, I don't have time to breathe, or it's not.
Really? Guess what? Then they won't be alive, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is breathing.
Well, to do the breathing that you're referring to, where you might sit down and actually do a deep inhale and exhalation, well, I'll do it later. Or I'm at my desk now, I'll do it when I get home. Or I just ate, so I can't do it. So do you have to take out time for that? And why is that so important?
So firstly, I would say we all have time to practice some breathing with awareness. And I'll give you an example. You are in a commute. So you are stuck in a traffic jam even when you are driving.
Yes.
Okay? An average American spends about 40-minute commuting each way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're in mass transit, it's much easier. You are standing on the train station. You are in an engine transit.
But can they do that
path.
in front of other people? The pranayama.
Just deep breaths. So if nothing else, just that taking a few deep breaths helps to reset, right?
And just monitoring and being aware of how you're exhaling.
Breathing. A lot of us are stuck in mind-numbing meetings, right?
Yes.
Right? We all have been there. So just taking a few moments, can I take a few deep breaths, right?
Okay.
Right? That helps. And of course, taking a few minutes out, and by a few, I mean just 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching Netflix, okay?
So even when you're watching TV or
watching Netflix,
even at your desk at work, you can technically
absolutely
you can do it there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Wow. So is it best done on an empty stomach then? That's what I do.
It's best done on an empty stomach. And the reason for that is that when you have had food, your metabolism needs to increase to help digest the food. And when you are doing any of these practices like deep breathing, meditation, it is decreasing the metabolism. So the point is that when you have just eaten your food, you rather let the nature take its due course. You do any of these practices at least 2 hours after a heavy meal.
Okay, yeah.
Make sense?
So I try to do it. So what I do is I go to sleep, and then when I wake up in the morning, I do the deep breathing, and I do a lot of heavy exhaling. So I kind of exhale all the toxins that my liver had flushed out from the night before, and it comes out through the breath. And then I do the other inhaling again.
Right.
So I first do all the exhaling, and then I eat. So I think that's a really good routine that people can follow, and it doesn't take me more than 5 minutes. So I do 3 different sets for about 1.5 minutes each.
Perfect.
Very good. Okay, so would you like to show the audience some of the different types of the calming ones, and maybe we can start with the exhaling one, then the inhaling one?
Excellent. I think the first thing is firstly is get an understanding on firstly how to breathe properly.
Okay.
Right? So I think let's start there, and then we can go transition segue into a few breathing techniques,
Okay.
depending on what the time permits and
Sure.
what.
We have
how-
about
how-
10 minutes.
So let's be organic about this. And
Okay.
so I think the first thing to do is for the audience to sit straight, right?
Okay.
Sit up straight. And then one hand on the chest and one hand on the abdomen, okay? And to close the eyes and just take a few deep breaths and see which hand rises more. So let's take a few deep breaths, right?
Okay.
And relax. So ideally what's supposed to happen is your abdomen hand should rise much more than the hand on the stomach.
Yes, that's what I felt.
Yeah. So if you are breathing properly, what's happening, and it's probably you have been doing the pranayama, so your breathing has been reset. But let's say when I am conducting a seminar and just ask this question to audience of 50 people, about 25 to 30, so basically over 50% would say that my chest hand rises more.
Really?
Right, because we are used to breathing shallow breaths. Because
Wow.
if you just take a shallow breath, you will see just the chest rise. You will not see
Wow.
the abdomen
Okay.
rise. So normal breathing is what we call a three-part breathing. You breathe in, first you take a deep breath in,
Okay.
the abdomen rises, and then you breathe a little more, and then the ribs and the chest expands.
Okay.
That's how a regular breath, deep breath is supposed to work,
That's an amazing test.
right?
hand
So
on both.
just once you put your hand on the chest and hand on the abdomen, you will get an understanding of how you're breathing, right?
Okay, wonderful.
And just first thing is, if the chest is not rising more, just intentionally breathe into the abdomen. And what makes it sometimes easier if you lie down on a yoga mat,
Okay.
and then if you breathe, then you get a better understanding, and then you will see your abdomen get more oxygen get into the abdomen. Right?
Okay.
So the first thing is for people to spend some time and just with awareness, just do some abdominal breathing. So just breathe some air in and let the stomach expand.
Okay. So fill
That's-
your abdomen.
Fill the abdomen with air or oxygen, right? That's the first thing. The second thing what you can do is, especially for people who have high blood pressure, or let's say if your mind is racing too much and yet say you're breathing very fast, is what we call straw breath. That is, you take a deep breath in through your nose. Let's do it together. And you breathe out through your mouth with like breathing out through a straw. Very brief.
Oh.
Again, take a deep breath in through the nose. And pucker your lips and breathe out through this as if you're breathing out through a straw. And you'll see you'll do a few of these and just helps to calm down, right?
Yes, very nice.
Right? And then another one you can do is what we call alternate nostril breathing,
Okay.
or called Nadi Shodhan Pranayama.
Let's try that one. That's one of
Yes.
my favorites.
Yes, and just to give a little background, right? So we have this left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain. So one of the theory is that the left side is the logical side, right? So let's say if you work in accounting or economics or you're in IT, we navigate life and using logic, okay, and analysis, and that comes from the left side of the brain. And the right hemisphere of the brain is used for any creative. So when you have creativity, let's say you're a poet or a writer or an artist, you tend to use your right hemisphere of the brain more. And what happens is, for most people, it's one hemisphere which is more predominant than the other, right? So what happens is that, and then that throws our life out of balance. Because let's say if you are expecting everything to follow a pattern, when you deal with people, a lot of time people don't behave in the same repeated manner. Let's say when I tell my wife something, one day if I tell her exactly the same thing, her response is very different, because your response is gated by how you're feeling that day, what happened during the day, what your mood is. So we are not like robots. To the same input, we act in a different manner. And sometimes we get amazed why this person responded to one thing and they are responding in a totally different manner.
Yes.
Or the same input to a different person might elicit a totally different response.
Okay.
So the whole idea and the why we are talking about this in alternate nostril breathing is that using the alternate nostril breathing, we can balance out the left and right hemisphere of the brain.
Wow.
So basically balance out the creative aspect as well as the analytical aspect. We both need that, right?
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm using both sides of my brain more since I started pranayama.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
And there again, the key is to sit in an upright fashion.
Okay.
Left hand on the left knee, palms facing towards the ceiling. The right hand, the thumb pressing against the right nostril. The forefinger and the middle finger rested in between the eyebrows. And then pushing against the left nostril, the right nostril, and breathing out through the left. Breathing in through the left nostril. Closing the left nostril, breathing out through the right. Breathing in through the right. Pushing the right nostril, breathing out through the left. And deep breaths. Again, breathing in through the left. Alternating. Breathing out through the right. And a few more times. And just if people spend just a couple of minutes just being aware that they're breathing in through the stomach, a couple of minutes of straw breath, and just a couple of minutes of alternate nostril breathing, 5 minutes a day.
Okay.
You will see how the mind tends to settle down.
Wow.
And even if you're sitting on your desk, just a few minutes of breathing. Or you can take pointers. Hey, I put the last dish in my dishwasher. Let me take a few deep breaths. Okay? I just stood up from my desk. Let me take a few deep breaths, right? Just a few checkpoints during the day.
Okay.
And just remind us to take a few deep breaths. You will see helps to calm down the mind, kick in the parasympathetic nervous system, stimulate that. It stimulates the whole rest and digest framework, and just calm down the breath, nervous system, and the mind.
Oh, it does work. Yeah, I mean, I feel calmer now.
Yeah.
It definitely has an immediate impact. And how about the one where you exhale rapidly, where you breathe in and then you just kind of breathe out?
That's Kapalabhati.
Okay.
So Kapalabhati is basically, think about the shining skull breath. That's what's translated to. And that's what it is like you said, it's rapid exhalations. You take a deep breath in, and initially you can just keep the right hand on the stomach, and you are
Okay.
So when you're exhaling, your stomach is going in.
So what are you exhaling? All the toxins from your whole core torso?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So when you breathe in, you are breathing in oxygen. When you're exhaling, you are removing carbon dioxide and tons of other toxins. Mm-hmm. So what this does is the deep exhalation or fast exhalation helps to eliminate toxins from the nervous system.
Okay.
So just a few minutes of that, you'll see you'll get energized.
Okay.
So the first few breaths that we talked about help to calm, This you will see helps to detoxify and energize.
Well, I was definitely enriched with some valuable knowledge here today, so thank you for your time and coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Geeta.
Thank you, and see you next week.